Look at Antarctica today, and it's nearly impossible to picture anything but endless, hostile white. The continent holds roughly 90% of all the glacial ice on Earth, piled miles thick in some places. It is deeply unwelcoming to terrestrial life. In fact, if you walk onto the ice right now, the absolute largest year-round land animal you could hope to find is a wingless midge about the size of an ant. But on Seymour Island, buried under all that frost, sits the La Meseta Formation. To get to it, researchers have to carve through the ice in absolutely miserable conditions to reach the exposed rock underneath. The fossils pulled from that rock tell a story that breaks our modern assumptions about the bottom of the world. They show that millions of years ago, the average temperature here sat comfortably at 25 degrees Celsius. That's about 77 degrees Fahrenheit. If you were to drop yourself onto the continent back then, you would be standing in a sweltering rainforest. The ground was wet, densely packed with towering conifers, ferns, and swamps thick with water lilies. You have a place at the literal geographic South Pole, mimicking the climate of modern-day Kenya. It begs an obvious question. How did a tropical paradise exist at the bottom of the Earth, and what exactly wiped it out? Following the asteroid impact that killed off the non-bird dinosaurs, the Earth entered the Paleocene and Eocene epochs. During this time, global carbon dioxide levels climbed sharply. This graph tracks temperatures over 100 million years. Notice the upward spike, a super greenhouse state. But geography did the heavy lifting. Antarctica sat further north, physically tethered to South America and Australia by land bridges. These superhighways let animals migrate directly into the continent. The green Antarctica wasn't a fluke. It was a perfectly balanced system, maintained by a carbon-heavy atmosphere and a physical landmass that invited life in while keeping the isolating deep ocean currents out. Look at this size comparison. This is a terror bird. They crossed over from South America, standing 8 feet tall, weighing 100 kilos, and carrying a massive hooked beak built for tearing apart prey. They were the apex land predators of the Eocene South Pole. They had an absolute buffet to choose from. Those forests were packed with strange, extinct grazing mammals, like the rhino-sized Anthropornis, and the tiny, tree-climbing ancestors of modern Australian marsupials. If you moved out of the forests and down to the swamps, the threat changed. Paleontologists have uncovered armor plates belonging to crocodiles, measuring 23 feet long, hunting right along the Antarctic coastline. And it was in these warm, terrifying waters that penguins originally evolved and flourished. We associate them entirely with ice today, but they actually got their start in a tropical ocean. The largest penguin alive today is the emperor, maxing out at around 100 pounds. But back in the Eocene, there were species patrolling these warm coasts that stood almost 7 feet tall and weighed 250 pounds. Out in the deeper water, things got significantly worse. The coasts were hunted by early serpentine whales called basilosaurids, growing up to 40 feet long, alongside 2 massive prehistoric shark species closely related to the Megalodon. This lost continent was densely packed with fierce, highly adapted megafauna. It was one of the most vibrant ecosystems on the planet, which makes the trap they were sitting in all the more brutal. Roughly 34 million years ago, the continental drift that had slowly been pushing Antarctica south finally reached a critical threshold. The land connections snapped. This map shows exactly where it happened. The Drake Passage tore open between Antarctica and South America, while the Tasman Gateway separated it from Australia. With those physical barriers gone, ocean water was free to rush into the gaps. This created the Antarctic Circumpolar Current. It formed a massive, unbroken loop of cold water circling the entire continent, acting as a wall that perfectly blocked the warm tropical currents from ever reaching the coast. Over the next several million years, the continent became a slow-motion trap. As temperatures steadily declined, the specialized wildlife found their escape routes severed. The giant birds and mammals were forced to adapt to a dying world they could no longer leave. The tropical rainforests began to die off, replaced by tundra. And then, as the cold deepened past the freezing point, the first ice sheets started to form directly over the dead vegetation. Once the ice appeared, it triggered a lethal feedback loop. The bright white sheets reflected the sun's heat back into space. The colder it got, the more ice grew, and the more ice grew, the faster the temperatures dropped. Antarctica as we know it is a victim of tectonic geography. The remains of that thriving world are still there, trapped beneath miles of ice, a physical reminder that where a continent sits determines whether life flourishes or freezes.